The elegantly dressed woman sat in a large armchair, sipping a glass of wine, glancing at the young girl on the opposite side. James looked at his mother, turned to Emily, smiled and said to her, "This is Emily, the person I love and want to marry. We have been in love for 3 years." The mother gave an unpredictable smile. She evaluated the young girl once and had many thoughts in her mind. "Hello, Emily. How old are you?" Emily smiled gently and said to the woman in front of her with a polite attitude, "Yes, I'm 24 years old." "What is your job?" the woman immediately asked again. Emily is clearly aware of the class and career gap between her and her boyfriend, but she is still very proud of her current job. It was an honest job and helped her pay the bills. "Yes, I am currently working in sales for a furniture company." James's mother immediately showed a judgmental expression. Compared to James' position as CEO of a technology company, he may have a more suitable fiancé, but the mother still maintained her attitude, politely inviting Emily to stay for dinner with the family. "You can call me Mrs. Holdings," James's mother said to Emily. Emily gently nodded, agreeing to spend a rare evening of her rest with James' family. The meal was presented on the table looking very sumptuous with a white tablecloth. The candles are spaced evenly apart, like a dinner straight out of a fairy tale. Emily thoroughly enjoyed that evening with James's family. When her son took Emily home, Mrs. Holdings called her son James over to talk. Looking at her son's expectant expression, she guessed that James really wanted her to have a good impression of Emily. "Son, I know you love Emily very much," Mrs. Holdings said in a quiet voice. "But unfortunately, you and Emily cannot become husband and wife." James was surprised, not understanding why his mother didn't want him and Emily to get together. "Love isn't everything, James. Before you brought Emily here, I had someone investigate her family background. As far as we know, her family is poor. Her parents are just ordinary factory workers. But Emily is really a very good person," James clarified. "I love Emily not because of her family background. Those things do not make her the good person she is now." Lady Holdings sighed. Love is a very difficult thing to talk about, especially for someone as lovesick as her son. It's hard to let go. "The answer is still no, James. A long-term marriage requires mutual support. You must marry families similar to ours to ensure our family's position in the future." "Yes, but what about love? I never wanted an arranged marriage." Miss Holdings shook her head. Her decision would not change. "James and Emily will never be together, and she will do everything to make that happen." After the conversation, James still acted normal with Emily. He really loved her, from her beautiful brown hair to her bright smile and wonderful gentle personality. More than anyone else, James always wanted to marry Emily. If it weren't for her, he wouldn't have married anyone. James will prove to his mother that Emily is completely worthy of being his wife. Mrs. Holdings realized that her lovesick son would not be able to let go of Emily so easily. So she decided to take action to separate this relationship. One morning, James was in the office when he received an important notice that he was transferred to run a company system in another country. "No way. I won't be able to go to another country to work," and the promise to Emily. James is worried about this decision. He immediately called his father, saying that he was not ready to go to another country to run the company. "Currently, our company has just opened a new branch in Australia. Everything is still very confusing, so your departure is necessary to help our company become stronger and stronger. Your position now has been found a person to be replaced." James was sad about his father's firm decision. He had no other choice. That evening, he invited Emily to their familiar restaurant. "What's wrong, honey?" Emily asked James when she saw his sad expression. James remained silent, not knowing what to say. He was not ready to leave Emily. But long-distance love is always a challenge for every couple. Emily seemed to understand something, smiled at James, and gently comforted him. She said that no matter what, she would never regret loving James. James looked at Emily with deep eyes, as if he could lose her at any moment. James said that he would have to go abroad to work until the new company was in order, then he could return. Emily understands that any strong love is difficult to predict because of such a distance. At the same time, she also sees the clear difference between herself and James, so their love story will hardly have results. "I think we should stop," Emily said. James was hurt when he heard that sentence from Emily. He never wanted the relationship to end like that. "Emily, if you believe me, I will come back and marry you," James said with a sincere expression. Emily gently kissed his cheek, till lines of tears rolled down her cheeks. Emily recalls that about a week ago, a woman came to visit her family. That is James' mother, Lady Holdings. She went to Emily's house hoping that Emily and her son could end their relationship. This relationship won't go anywhere, you know. The difference between the two families is too great. It will be difficult for a marriage without mutual consent. Emily's parents were sad because of this extremely poor family situation. Their daughter had lost her love. Emily also agreed with Mrs. Holdings that she would slowly find a way to stop the relationship and would not tell James. Returning to reality, she shook her head, telling James that her decision would not change. James was very sad but still respected Emily's opinion, because he also knew that Emily's youth would not last forever. After the dinner, the relationship between them ended. 5 years later, the James family's business situation is deteriorating day by day. Rival companies are gaining more and more market share. James sat in the office, his face clearly showing anxiety. Now he has tried to shoulder everything, hoping to save the company. Mrs. Holdings is also in an equally stressful state. She is afraid that in the coming time, she will not be able to overcome it. Almost all of Holdings' real estate properties have been sold off to reverse the cash flow to save the company's collapse. Currently, we can only hope for a breakthrough or a large investment capital, James said to his father. The father has an old face. He seems to have more wrinkles after many sleepless nights. His son was right, but now only a miracle can save his business. However, the miracle happened the next morning after the Holdings company's shares increased again, even by a surprising number. This was completely not in James's expectations. Furthermore, he also received an extremely attractive investment invitation from a mysterious investor. James was surprised by this unexpected change. He quickly arranged a meeting to discuss this investment. The next morning, the meeting took place. However, the investor sent a representative to represent the investor for unexpected work. It was a young, blonde-haired girl who came to represent. "Dear Mr. Holdings, we see the potential in the short video viewing application you released. At the present time, things may not be very good, but in the future, it can develop dramatically. Therefore, we decided to invest here." James and the council were extremely happy with the large investment they received. He asked the young girl the identity of the investor, but she kept it a secret because this was a request. At the same time, the investor also proposed plans to support marketing, ensuring the application can be spread more widely. At the end of the agreement, James went home. At this time, he opened his computer and discovered that his short video application was being promoted a lot on social networking platforms. Even a few celebrities have started using his app and think it is a good app. That's why stocks are up this morning. He really didn't know how this miracle came to him and silently thanked the mysterious investor very much. The promotion seems to have been effective. The application that James' company released has had a great transformation. The number of users has quickly increased to millions after nearly 2 years of release, opening a new era for Holdings Corporation. Short videos became a trend, and the application that Holdings issued was fortunate to lead the trend. Standing at the top, James has never stopped thinking about Emily. It's been almost 7 years, and he still doesn't want to get married. The girl he fell in love with in the past still exists in his mind every day. Nothing can make him forget Emily. He decided to find Emily. For the first time in nearly 7 years, his desire became extremely intense. Whether she was married or not, he still wanted to know how she was living now. But despite all his efforts, Emily's whereabouts remain a mystery. At his most desperate moment, something unexpected happened. At the party held to celebrate the Holdings Group's recovery after many turbulences, many shareholders and investors gathered. The investor now appeared, a tall, middle-aged man. He is Albert, a famous investor in the field of health and technology. Albert spoke up in a cheerful and generous tone. Actually, when I first invested in Holdings, I also had a lot of doubts. But this is truly the wisest decision of my life. Holdings has been very successful in application development. He continued, but I cannot deny that this is completely the idea of marketing CEO, Miss Emily. James was speechless when he heard Emily's name. He quickly raised his eyes to the podium. A radiantly beautiful girl came from backstage, wearing a blue sequin dress that sparkled like the ocean. That's Emily. Emily still kept her bright smile and still had beautiful purple eyes. Lady Holdings sitting below was equally surprised. She did not expect that the person who really helped her family on the brink of the abyss was the young girl she had not accepted all year. We see great potential from this application, as well as the trend of changing the world, and in fact it is. Congratulations, Holdings Group, Emily said. James was touched. His heart beat very strongly. For the first time in many years, he was able to see the image he wanted to see the most. After the party, he arranged to meet Emily to talk. James couldn't express his feelings in words. All these years, Emily, I couldn't forget you. I don't understand why I let go of your hand that day. It was the most regretful decision I've ever made in this life. Emily looked at James emotionally. Her eyes were like a vast sea of water. I have always tried to be more worthy of you. Now, a part of my wish has come true. Indeed, I never stop thinking about you. When I see you and your family on the brink of difficulty, I cannot sit still. James looked at her. Only then did he realize that his feelings had never gone away. They had only grown stronger. After all the events, it made him love Emily even more. The two hugged and kissed each other. Lady Holdings witnessed everything. She understood something, smiled, then sighed and walked away. The next day, she arranged to meet Emily at a luxury restaurant. I really don't know what to say to you. Mrs. Holdings choked up as she remembered the past, with her limited thinking causing her son to miss a good person. I just want to say, I'm sorry. If I still love James, I am completely grateful and agree to this marriage. Emily understood the mother's heart. She replied, I understand. No one would want their son to marry someone who doesn't have any achievements. Therefore, I tried very hard because I truly love James. Mrs. Holdings smiled. Tears welled up in her eyes. She knew that from now on, her son would be happy forever.